Thank you all for coming very much. We're very excited. Today is a start of a very big homecoming weekend, and we've got a very special announcement today. On the platform with me, I will introduce Chancellor Arbo and Lofton. We'll be making our announcement in a few minutes. Dr. Justin Dyer, who's the director of the Kinder Institute on Constitutional Democracy. And we also have Rich Kinder and his wife Nancy as well. After the announcement, there will be a reception, and as we do traditionally, we'll do questions from the media after the announcement, and so we'll be all available after that as well. So just to go through the ground rules. Let me just say that this leadership gift that we're getting ready to talk about has an enormous impact on our comprehensive campaign that we will announce tonight, Mizzou's Our Time to Lead, which we'll announce a little bit later this evening. Mr. Kinder's business acumen and his leadership are really inspiring. We could not be more grateful to he and his wife Nancy. Nancy is the president of the Kinder Foundation. Before I welcome the Chancellor to the platform, let me just say that the conversations with Rich and Nancy go back really 3 or 4 years. I want to thank Dean Mike O'Brien, and I don't know if Mike's here, but he played an important role in those discussions early on and has been incredibly supportive of the project. Chancellor Brady Deaton was also involved in those early discussions, and this has been an ongoing discussion that has led to this moment, so we're really appreciative of all those folks involved with the process. I will also say Rich and Nancy have not just supported the Kinder Institute. For instance, Chancellor Lofton, when we had a tour through Texas, they also hosted a wonderful luncheon for us with Mizzou alums in Houston, so they've been extremely supportive. So with no further ado, let me introduce our Chancellor, Arbo and Lofton.
Good morning. It's truly a great day at Mizzou, and we're all thankful that you're here to share the good news together with us. This week, being our homecoming week, is a busy week. There's a lot going on here right now and more to come over the next couple of days till we beat Florida on Saturday. We began many of the good things we're talking about today last night. We began with a reception for the Kinders and for David McCullough last night, and thank you for making his presence here possible. I hope many of you were able to come last night to the Missouri Theater and enjoy Mr. McCullough's lecture, his Q&A. He's an extraordinary individual in so many ways, and we feel enriched by the fact that he was here yesterday on campus to talk to students, as well as to address all the Mizzou family in the Missouri Theater. That evening, last night, highlighted what we're able to do with philanthropy, with private investment in our great institution. We're going to be able to continue to attract people like David McCullough to come here and amplify the message of what makes Mizzou an extraordinary university. Let me talk just a moment about the people we're here to recognize today. Nancy and Rich Kinder are joining us from Houston, Texas. They make their home. Rich grew up, though, in Cape Girardeau, and I think there's some of the Cape Girardeau friends and family back around here as well, who will talk with him later on this morning. Other people came from around the country to join us today for this special moment. So let me begin just by welcoming formally the Kinders here to the podium and to this recognition. Just a few words about this extraordinary couple. Rich is the co-founder and executive chairman of Kinder Morgan, a company he co-founded with Bill Morgan, another Mizzou alum. It's the third largest energy company in America, based on enterprise value today. The gift we're announcing today comes from the Kinder Foundation, an organization created by the Kinders. I believe, Nancy, you're president, and you're chairman, Rich, of that foundation. I've got it. And like all thoughtful people, and good philanthropists. Rich and Nancy have been very generous in Texas and certainly around Houston. A number of places in Houston have benefited from their generosity, including the arts, urban education, research, and parks and green spaces in the city have all been enhanced thanks to their thoughtfulness and their investments as well. Today we're here to really celebrate a particular gift, though, to the university. We all are mindful of the fact that history teaches us so much. If you heard McCullough's lecture last night, it drove it home to you that we are really empty if we don't know our history. And so we began a conversation before my time here. By we, I mean the university began a conversation with the Kinders about how to really look at history, and specifically the history of our democracy and its constitution, and how it has actually shaped this extraordinary nation in which we live today. Rich came to us essentially with a passion and a big idea for an organization here on campus that would be very meaningful to him and meaningful to all of us, and ultimately meaningful to our nation. The Kinders' philanthropy and vision are going to help in so many ways to position the university going forward to make an extraordinary impact. So it's my pleasure today to formally announce a gift from the Kinder Foundation, led by Nancy, of $25 million. There's excitement in the room. This gift enables us to create and to sustain the Kinder Institute on Constitutional Democracy, an initiative to promote the excellence in teaching and scholarship about American constitutional and democratic principles, history, and traditions. The Institute supports the research and scholarship of MU faculty, undergraduate, and graduate students who seek to explore questions related to history, theory, and practice of constitutional democracy as it was crafted by our founders. To quote from our media release today, one of MU's primary missions as a state university is to promote and provide education on our government and its history for its students and the population as a whole. To understand our present, we have to understand our past. It is important for all students and members of our society to have a breadth of knowledge about how our government was created and how it works today. The Institute will promote that education across campus, creating a forum to discuss and learn from multiple viewpoints the theoretical foundations and historical practice of American constitutional government. The Kinder's philanthropy and vision will help position MU as a national center for education and scholarship on our governance systems, foundation, and purpose. That, I believe, is an extraordinary vision for an institute that bears your name and will carry on beyond my lifetime for certain. Here to speak about the impact that the Kinder Institute will have on MU and the country is its founding director, Justin Dyer. Professor Dyer will be followed by the podium of Mr. Kinder, who will speak about his motivation in creating this world-class institute. Justin.
I'm delighted to be here today. I'm looking out and seeing all these faces, and it reminds me of what an enormous impact the Kinder Institute has already had. I'm looking out and I see the chairs of the departments of history and political science. I see many of our graduate students, some who have received graduate research and travel grants, others who are working on dissertations and have dissertation fellowships. I see a group of our undergraduate students, some of whom traveled to Washington, D.C. as part of our Kinder Scholars Program. Over the summer, interned throughout Washington, D.C. Some are members of our Society of Fellows program, a program that put undergraduate students up at the Tiger Hotel for 3 nights in August, and then they get together for quarterly dinner debates throughout the year. They edit and write and produce an undergraduate journal on constitutional democracy. looking out and seeing faculty members from political science and history and classics and the School of Law. And it's a testament, I think, to what the Kinder Institute has already been able to do. And we're looking forward now to the transformational impact that a gift like this will have on us, on our programming, and most of all on our students. Everything that we do is for our students, and we're looking now at an enormous gift, an enormous amount of resources that we can use to recruit and retain, to attract top graduate students from around the country, top professors in their field, internationally recognized and nationally recognized professors in political thought and history. We can break down barriers between these different disciplines, unite and connect our research and our teaching. We have already brought scholars from different ideological perspectives together in an atmosphere of collegial fellowship, and we have been able to maintain a degree of civility in our programming that I think is rare in our country, is rare on our campus, and so we are thrilled to be able to have this opportunity. Education in this area is part of the core mission of Missouri's public universities and colleges. It is part of our state law that students are required to take courses on the American Constitution, on the Constitution of the state of Missouri, on American history and its political institutions. And this has been a part of our curriculum here at the University of Missouri. It's been part of our mission. But this institute will allow us to be a national and international leader in this area of study. It will very quickly put the University of Missouri on the map and lead the country in a very important part of our civic life. For that, we're grateful. And today, I just want to thank, before turning over the microphone, thank Rich and Nancy Kinder for their generosity and for the support that they have given to our students and to the intellectual life at the University of Missouri. Thank you.
Well, as a quick aside, I think you can see that we've got a wonderful founding director of this institute, and thank you very much, Justin. And the associate director is also here, Jeff Pasley, who's a wonderful professor of history. And can I plug your book? If you haven't read his book on the 1796 election, it's really excellent, really excellent. Look, I'll be very brief. There are three reasons why Nancy and I decided to make this gift, and one's more important than the other two, frankly. The first is that I had what I felt was a very good experience here. Others may have disagreed at the University of Missouri during my 6 years here. Well, wait a minute. I did get both an undergraduate and a law degree in 6 years, so my father saw to that. But at any rate, he would never have allowed me to take 6 years in undergraduate with any money anyway, which we didn't have much of. But the first reason is I had a good experience here, and it's something that Nancy and I wanted to recognize that experience and give back to a place that had a real positive influence on my life. The second thing, and it goes to something that the chancellor was saying earlier, is state universities in general, and in particular the University of Missouri, have felt a real squeeze over the past few decades. If you face facts, the amount of state funding is just not what it once was. Now, some of that can be recouped by raising tuition, but that has its limits. If you really want to be a state university, open your doors to a lot of people, and you can't do it unless you have a reasonable tuition structure. So there's limits on how much of this loss of state funding you can recoup from tuitions. You have grants from federal and state governments. That helps some. But I submit to you that if state universities are going to continue their role of educating the public in so many important ways, they have to have support from the private sector. And I think you have to look to private philanthropy to help build centers of excellence at universities like the University of Missouri. And that's what this gift is intended to do. It's really a big partnership between our foundation and the university, and hopefully we will create something unique that will have lasting benefit. The third reason why we did this, and really the most important in my judgment, And for those of you who heard David McCullough last night, he really hit the nail on the head, as he always does. We can't exist as a country unless subsequent generations really understand what an exceptional nation this is and what the principles were that led to the creation of our system of government and our democracy. And that was what led to the idea of really creating a center in an interdisciplinary mode of studying constitutional democracy, what the founders really believed, how the nation got formed, what were the underlying principles. If we don't have that understanding across America, I think we're doomed to failure in the future. I think we have to engender that kind of understanding, and frankly, I think over the last couple of generations, maybe since I was here, as a matter of fact, we've lost some of that understanding. We don't have as much feeling, as much in-depth review of what the Founding Fathers really thought. So our hope is that this institute will be able to grant more understanding, to be able to give our students a better opportunity to study what makes this country great, and maybe in a very small way contribute to the ongoing, incredibly important role of democracy in the United States. Thank you.
As I've learned, Mr. Kinder is always to the point, short and sweet, and I really appreciate that sentiment. One thing I want to do before we break up for media questions is I do want to introduce two of Rich and Nancy's colleagues who are here, are also on the Kinder Advisory Board. Alan Atterbury, our great alumnus also, and his wife Mary, who's also an alum. Alan's going to serve on that advisory board. Raise your hand, Alan. Be acknowledged there. And then Pat Oxford at the end, Mr. Kinder's associate, will also be joining us on the advisory board. So we really appreciate their help in building this. Another great Missouri alum, Sarah Morgan, will be joining that group as well. So I'll just close by saying this. I feel very fortunate, a little emotional today to be going through the campaign kickoff, and to Mr. Kinder could have chosen to announce this gift at any time, but he understood why we might want to try and do that on the eve of the kickoff, and I really appreciate his willingness to do that. And I will also say that I'm very inspired when I hear his conversation as a former high school history teacher and his vision for constitutional democracy, but also because one of the things that I've learned about endowments, in 100 years from now, when all of us are gone and many of these facilities are gone, these endowments and the Kinder Institute will still be working to promote constitutional democracy, to further University of Missouri's mission, and help students, help faculty in that regard. And that, to me, is extremely inspiring and an amazing legacy. So, Mr. Kinder, Mrs. Kinder, one more time, please join me in thanking them for this wonderful gift. So we will be around for media requests, and please enjoy the refreshments again. Thank you.